Hi everyone,
हाय। आज की महफिल में आपका स्वागत है। आई एम साक्षी।
and I'm Bhavya. And today we're talking about the chocolate boys of Bollywood.
Yay! This
This
is
is
a
a
topic.
favorite topic.
Yeah, it's very close to our hearts because, as you will see later in this episode, that we kind of manifested it. So yeah,
Yeah, because this is something we end up talking about in almost all of our conversations, which is
yeah,
why we think the culture needs this at this point in time.
definitely.
So later, but yeah, just to get started, what do you think is a chocolate boy for you?
I think like the chocolate boy, there's obviously like two aspects to it, like the visual appeal and the personality. So the visual appeal being no beard and very cute and has that innocent spark in his eyes, sort of a thing. And just a school, college crush you might have. That sort of person, but like the personality is just as important because I see chocolate boys as aware of how they interact with the world around them, especially women, be it in their family or their friends or anything. And, just having like a sense of emotional maturity to be able to have a conversation, have a deep conversation, understand the other person, have empathy for that matter. So, like, for me, it's that. But what about you?
Yeah, so similar. I think there's obviously the physical characteristics and the physical part of it, but there's this emotional aspect which is equally important.
Yeah.
For physical characteristics, I would say it's someone who's lean, someone who has a clean look. He's not exactly like the hot boy as
Mhm.
I would categorize maybe Ritik into,
Yeah.
because Ritik, when he debuted, he was immediately the hot, the dancer, the very sexy archetype. But I don't think a
Yeah.
chocolate boy is exactly that, because
Hmm.
a chocolate boy always leans more cute than hot. And that makes him more approachable, makes him more relatable and more attainable. He's quite literally the boy next door. He's
Yeah.
someone you start to, and you guys have a good chemistry and you eventually fall in love with him. So
Yeah.
that's what a chocolate boy is, someone who is possibly close to you, someone who is in the same surroundings. He's a friend, he's a schoolmate, he's a college mate, and you just naturally start talking to him and eventually love happens, friends to lovers. So that's what I think a chocolate boy is.
Exactly. They have that um attainable, accessible quality. Like, this could be your story, this could be your
Yeah,
friend, like a very
yeah.
cutesy friends to lovers sort of a thing, where like, this could be the person you hang out with every day, and then one day you realize that you've been in love with them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You
I
slowly
really like
develop
that.
a crush.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
like a slow burn thing with the
it,
chocolate boy. Yeah.
it kind
Very,
of is.
yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
But who do you think is like peak chocolate boy according to you?
I mean, for me, like when I think of it, it's like, Shahid from Ishq Vishk, but like not my favorite, but like that's the first thing I think of when I think of chocolate boy, because like I think that is the first person I maybe I was introduced to as a chocolate boy. So, but like
Yeah.
that boyish charm and even the guy crushing on someone, I think even that, like, makes that person very like human, very like uh
Yeah.
yeah, someone you would know, because like it's your friend, even he has a crush on someone and maybe you have a crush on him and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all very cutesy. And you mentioned boyish charm. And that is a very essential aspect of being a chocolate boy because
True.
you need a chocolate boy needs to be someone who's on the younger side as compared to someone
Yeah.
older. So
Yeah.
someone old like Shah Rukh, obviously physically he fits that archetype well, but I wouldn't necessarily categorize him as chocolate boy just
Yeah.
because a chocolate boy needs to be on the boyish, cute side of things. So that's a
Yeah.
very important aspect of being a chocolate boy. What do you think is sort of the significance of someone who is categorized as a chocolate boy? Why do you think it's important?
They like looking at the evolution of like the male leads in movies in Bollywood, like we like it's not like 2000s or the late 90s was the first time we saw chocolate boys or like soft boys or something. Like we had Rishi Kapoor, we had Rajesh Khanna, so like we had these, but like there has been this kind of a pattern of actors kind of moving more towards like, a lot of masculine, like very typical masculine roles, a very action and like,
Right.
yeah, even violence for that matter. And Chocolate Boy comes as a breath of fresh air because, like, amidst all of this, like, testosterone filled movies, there comes like
Yeah.
this movie with this character which has that emotional depth and, this sort of awareness of what's going on around him, how to interact with women, and,
Yeah.
like, not just treat the world as like a means to an end and stuff like that, or the woman being like the side character that is not being thought about. It feels fresh because if women were to watch this, they would be like, yes, this is a character I can imagine in my life. And
Exactly.
that's a very good feeling to have.
That's why having a chocolate boy character or why having that archetype in movies is so important. Because as a woman, I feel like, oh, finally, my desires are being represented, and it feels good to
Yeah.
be seen and heard by the cinema that you watch, right? But also, as you mentioned, I think at at the core, a chocolate boy is someone who's a decent human being.
Yes.
So obviously his love for the female character is something that makes him very appealing, but it's also how he treats other people. He's just generally a nice dude. He treats us
Yeah.
well. He gets along with his friends, and he's just an overall stand-up guy. And I think that's what makes a chocolate boy, that he's just a nice dude.
Even outside of their romantic story that is happening in the movie, like this is like a nice person.
Nice guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel like that's very important to
Yeah.
have that in a character.
And like,
Yeah.
not to say that we only have like the toxic Kabir Singh types and the chocolate boy types, because we also have that everyday man trope
Everyday
in
man.
movies, which is just as important. I'm speaking from like a nostalgia point of view, but like when I was in high school and college, like these are the kinds of characters I wanted to see. That, like, just
Exactly.
people in college and high school, like crushing on people and stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah. I know, right? Yeah, the everyday man is sort of like the character that Rajkumar Rao or Ayushman would play. But I
yeah,
wouldn't necessarily maybe find myself attracted to them. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Whereas a chocolate boy provides me that kind of a character that I can actually fantasize about. And being
Yeah,
able to fantasize about someone is so important because that's the reason we watch movies.
exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a very important part of cinema, and we definitely need more chocolate boy characters or movies because I can't remember of any good ones like in the last 5, 10 years, maybe.
No, not really. Me neither. Like the only one I can think of is the one
Yeah.
manifested is Fawad Khan, who,
Salman
like,
Khan, I know.
yeah. And this is based on that one clip that we're all seeing right now of his new movie where he's singing. And
Yeah.
like, even though not exactly a chocolate boy, but like it feels like a rebirth in some ways.
But the fact that it's a 1 minute clip and it's making people go crazy just shows how starved we are for a character like that.
That is true.
I know, right? Because yeah, I think maybe there was a phase in the 2000s where we had a bunch of these romantic comedies and just general romantic movies, and we just don't have that anymore. So
Yeah.
if people are definitely aching for that character who can sort of give you butterflies, and Fawad definitely does that.
Exactly. I was just thinking that a lot of the box office hits that we have of like romantic movies, it's a roadside Romeo sort of a thing, and
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
really like, yeah, like again, if I watch Humpty Sharma Ki Dulhania or something like that, I wouldn't be like, yeah, I want that person in my
Exactly.
life.
Yeah, because they're not actually part of our lives. So you can't fantasize about them. So
Yeah.
yeah, a chocolate boy is perhaps closer to the kind
Yeah,
of interactions we have and the people that we surround ourselves with. That's the closest character that
very
we have to.
attainable.
Very attainable, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would never want a roadside Romeo kind of a story. Like the stalkery thing that happens with it, that's normalized. Like, nope.
Yeah, that's just creepy.
That's very, yeah, exactly. It's normalized, but it's very creepy.
But it's very creepy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I remember reading this one very interesting thing because you mentioned Rishi Kapoor. So he was considered sort of the OG chocolate boy in back in the 60s. And
Yeah.
there was someone, and not the 60s, maybe like 70s, 80s.
70s, 80s, yeah.
Yeah. So there was this dude in the 60s whose name is, I think, Joy Banerjee or something.
Hmm.
And he was a Nepo kid essentially, and he was considered a chocolate boy in the 60s. So
Oh.
he used to wear like Western clothing, tight fitted suits and pants, which was not a norm at that point of time.
Ah,
But he had the look and he had the clothes and he had the fan following. So, and
nice.
it's so fun that every generation has had their version of a chocolate boy.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, who are your favorites in all of this? Like, your favorite chocolate boys?
I have a very straight answer to this, and it's obviously Imran.
Yeah.
Like, I am still waiting for Jay from Jane Tu. I don't think I've ever fantasized about any other character like I did for him. There's just something about him. I can't put my finger on it. He's just so
Yeah.
cute, so approachable, so desirable in that movie. He's peak chocolate boy for me.
He
Do you
is.
have favorites?
Same Imran, like definitely. But I also have like Shah Rukh because especially K3G Shah Rukh, like that was
Yeah.
like a swoon worthy movie for me. And I love that especially because like we see him going from like this very like young and like crushing on a girl kind of a person to like now responsible for a family kind of a person. So it gave me like a different fantasy altogether of like what my future could look like.
Mr. Righteous. Yeah. But so now that you mentioned Shah Rukh, I think even Shah Rukh in Mohabbatein was peak chocolate boy. Also speaking of Mohabbatein, the other two guys, Jimmy Shergill and Jugal Hansraj, were also peak chocolate boys and
Yes.
just such good characters and such good actors to fit those roles. Loved them in that movie.
Exactly. I think Jugal
Yeah.
Hansraj and Jimmy Shagel both have that very,
Look,
yeah. Jugal Hansraj
uh,
still has that look. I don't even know how that is possible. He still
I
has that
know, I know. It's so funny, but they were just great in that movie, especially Jugal Hansraj because that was his role. He's
look.
the
Yeah,
friend who goes on to become the lover, and I love that.
exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think Jimmy's storyline had a little bit of sadness to it.
Yeah, there's like a melancholic aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. Which also he plays that so well. He's so good at that.
I love Jimmy
Yeah.
Shagel. I love him.
He's so cute, so cute. I think Mohabbatein had the best looking cast ever, if you think about it.
It did.
Now,
Oh my God.
Shah Rukh and Aishwarya, hello. Let's end
Exactly.
the debate right there. The
Exactly.
three couples, as such, they were just
Yeah.
so beautiful, all of them.
And it was so well done, like the way they matched each other's energies. It was like
It
this
was
baat
just,
Rab
yeah,
ne bana di jodi.
I know this is, I think, for our generation, it's that movie which has like so much nostalgia attached to it.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember watching it with my friends in the hostel, and then we would assign each other characters. Like, not even the female characters. We would be like, "Oh, you're Jimmy Shergill. I am Jugal Hansraj."
I love it. Oh my God.
The female characters.
This is so cute. I
Yeah.
can see that. I can see that happening. Yeah. But of course, because we have all of these opinions and all of these chocolate boys that we love and admire, we have a special something for you guys, and which is our chocolate boy tier list. Yay.
Yes. let's move on to that and explain to you how it works. So this is our chocolate boy tier list. And we have like a few options at the bottom. The options are Jimmy Shergill, Jugal Hansraj, Imran, obviously Ranbir, Shahrukh, Shahid, Maddie, Salman, Rohit Saraf, and Fawad Khan.
Woohoo!
And our tiers, the first tier, which is like the topmost, the best, the peak chocolate boy is I Would Die For You. The second one is Take Home to Mama because this is a guy that you can take home to mama. The third
Hmm.
one is Swoon, which basically means he's like a very cute guy and you would like swoon for him. The fourth one is Awe, which just means that okay, he's cute, but he's just like awe. You don't necessarily have a crush on him. He's just like cute and existing. The final one is cute but friend zone. This is a guy that you acknowledge is cute, but you friend zone him because you're not interested.
Oh God.
That's the
Okay.
final one. Okay, so you tell me, and the rule is that we have to agree. We have to
Yeah.
agree on where each person goes. And yeah, it's not individual, it's a collective thing. So let's start. Let's start with the first year. Would die for you.
I mean,
I mean,
obviously, yeah.
don't have to
Yeah.
think about this one
Yeah, we just agreed on Imran without taking his name because obviously.
because it's right. Okay.
Okay. Would die for you. I also feel like Shah Rukh would die for you.
That's true. I know who I'm definitely placing in cute but friend zone.
Who?
Salman.
Salman.
What do you think?
Salman for me, and like I just want to clarify for everyone who can't see it, it's
Yeah.
early career Salman. So like actual chocolate boy Salman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But for me, he's more like an awe.
He's an
Like,
awe. Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
maybe
like,
because he was very attractive. I'll agree to that, but I just don't think I can look beyond who he has become.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to be like completely objective and like not thinking about the last 2 decades, maybe.
Yeah. Let's just erase all of that. But yeah,
Yeah, just
this
for
I
a
would
tier
say.
list.
Yeah. So okay, let's put him in awe for now. Because he is awe. I
Yeah, he is all.
he was.
He used to be, yeah.
Yeah. I think I would put maybe Ranbir in Swoon because he's definitely
Yeah,
very cute, but his character
definitely.
tend to be a little man-childish.
Yeah, I
So that's
hmm.
why I would not take him home to Mama because she would sense him out immediately.
Even Ajab Prem ki Gazab Kahani for that matter, like it was a very blurry line between Chocolate Boy and Manchild.
Even wake up
So
scared.
even Wake Up said, yeah.
He does have redeeming qualities in that at
Hmm.
least he listens and he shows character growth. But
Yeah,
what he starts out as is just not good. So he,
exactly.
he's in swoon.
Yeah, he like walks the line basically.
Exactly. I think
Hmm.
I would take Jugal Hansraj home,
Bro,
right?
yes.
Yeah, especially from Mohabbat. You're coming home with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Jimmy Shergill, I
Even
would take
Jimmy
home.
here. Yeah, I know. Oh my God, imagine taking the two of them home. So cute. Okay. I think I would take Maddie home too.
Yes, of
He's
course.
he's just too cute. You can't just drop him.
Yeah, but again, like I know we'll get into this discussion later as well,
Yeah.
but again, like fine line between Chocolate Boy and Man-Child in
Manchild.
Rehna
Yeah.
Teri Dil Mein.
Yeah. But because Maddie is that little bit of extra cute, I think I
Eh,
would overlook his red flags.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what was happening.
Yeah, and then we'll learn our lessons, but for starters, we'll definitely take him home.
Yeah.
Okay. What about
Okay.
Shahid is definitely also coming home. I feel like.
Yeah, some of his characters definitely are.
Yeah, in this one, I'm specifically thinking about Aditya from Jab We Met.
Same, yes.
Yeah.
Same about Aditya.
So I think this one's definitely coming home.
Yeah, I
Not,
mean,
not so sure about the others, but yeah, this one is.
hmm.
Yeah. Okay, Rohit Saraf. Interesting.
I don't know, maybe it's my age that's playing a factor now, but like Rohit Saraf for me seems very cute but friend zone for some reason. Or like a very oh.
I feel like I see what you're saying because I don't think he's played a character who has had that reaction out of us, even though physically he fits that characteristic.
Yeah.
So, cute friend zone. Okay. And then finally we have Fawad. I don't know where to place him. I like him so much.
Me neither.
I know. Maybe Fawad should have a category of his own called Fawad.
He really should. Like, you know how in like the hotness factor, Ritik has his own category. Fawad should have his own category.
Category two, yeah. But where are we placing him? Are we placing him in Would Die For You or Take Him Home? I think my mom would flip if I took Fawad home.
Oh my God.
I know, right? I think she would want him.
But considering that we haven't watched that movie yet, and it's only based on that one clip.
Yeah.
So, like, what's that clip giving the vibe? Like,
That clip is giving more soul.
yeah, है ना?
Yeah.
Same, soon.
Yeah.
Like him singing in the car, is just like,
I
ah.
know, it is so soon. Okay. So this is our final tier list. And yeah, for people who will watch this on video, I hope this is a treat and you took away
Yes,
something from this very intellectual discussion. This is going everywhere. This is going on my resume.
yes.
Yeah.
This is our virality moment.
This is our legacy, I think. Generations to come will know us by this.
Mummy will be proud. So that was our tier list. And one thing that we did, like, and you guys noticed, was that not everyone fit that exact chocolate boy category. And that's kind of because they walk that fine line between chocolate boy and man child. So, like Bhavya, like you said, wake up said. So, what do you think about it? Like, what made him not a chocolate boy?
I think it was specifically about Wake Up Sid. It was his entitlement and his refusal to take any kind of responsibility. And for
Hmm.
me, the moment I see that in someone or in a character, it's an instant turn off. And I can't dissociate in my brain. I can't still feel that the person is attractive and desirable if they're showing characteristics that are not.
Hmm.
So I can recognize the fact that he showed character growth. And I think he was a
Yeah.
good friend in a lot of ways to Aisha and to his other friends as
Hmm.
well. But I can't overlook the fact that he just had this entitlement in him and he was essentially throwing away his life at the beginning of the movie. I know he
Yeah.
had a great character arc. That's great for him, but it's just a personal opinion. I can't overlook that. I don't know how you
Yeah.
feel.
Same. I think generally characters which have that, like, they show growth or, like, some sense of, like, emotional regulation in some ways. But when there's a sense of entitlement, that really kind of, like, ruins the other aspects of it. Because, like,
Yeah.
if you feel entitled to receive something or over somebody else or anything like that, then you're kind of just putting on a facade of emotional maturity and not really that mature.
Yeah.
So,
And he
hmm.
was kind of doing that quite till the end. So
Yeah,
obviously Ranbir was very attractive. I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure people still find him attractive, but I don't think I can overlook that fact. And yeah, it's a big
yeah.
no for me, and I just can't make myself like him after that.
Yeah, and like this really just goes to show that the visual appeal only takes one so far,
Exactly.
because if there's no personality to match it, or like just like that emotional awareness to match it,
Yeah.
then it kind of just like okay,
Yeah,
like
yeah. You forget about the looks at that point.
the only one I can think of is Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. Like, even though I love that movie and I love Maddie in it,
Yeah.
but it almost felt like, why is this happening to me? And I don't deserve it. And uh, not really like
Sabotage.
treating, yeah, like
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
sabotage. And that kind of just changed the entire tone for me. And this is not to say that characters shouldn't go through like difficult periods and stuff like that, because we see that even Jane Tu Ya Jane Na, Ishq Vishk, we see that.
Yeah.
But how the character deals with it, processes it, I feel like as like a young person watching it and crushing over someone, like that was kind of a turn off in some ways, because then it felt like, okay, if like the person I'm crushing on is acting this way, maybe I wouldn't feel like very good to be around them,
Yeah.
or like good disappointing them. Like obviously all of these thoughts don't come like very consciously, but like more at a subconscious level, where you gauge the safety factor of like
Yeah.
sharing things with them, or like sharing a space
Exactly.
with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and chocolate boys make you feel safe, they do.
Same. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I think the biggest USP that
Hmm.
someone you're comfortable around, and that's a
Yeah,
major part of being a chocolate boy. But
exactly.
do you think being a man child is one thing, but do you think a chocolate boy can potentially become toxic?
Yes, and as Bhavya has termed it, it's a chocolate boy to toxic boy pipeline.
It's just so interesting to me because Shahid and Ranbir in the beginning of their careers, both of them were peak chocolate boys. These very good
Yeah,
people, very approachable, and those were the characters that they played. And some of it can be attributed to the age that they were,
yeah.
maybe, but they were also maybe conscious choices. Um,
Hmm.
and I've also noticed with these actors that some part of them didn't really enjoy that chocolate boy tag, or some
Yeah.
part of them felt that it was derogatory, which it
Hmm.
can't seem like that, right? Because people may use that tag to either not offer you more serious roles or to just dismiss you as an actor and be like, oh, he's like a chocolate boy. But it's
Yeah.
very interesting to me. Shahid and Ranveer's case is very interesting because both of them eventually in their careers they took on the most toxic roles ever known to
Yeah.
mankind. Kabir Singh and Animal. And I just wonder how much of that is their own desire to portray the image of a toxic man, and how much of it is just, something that happened in their career naturally. So I'm very curious about that.
Yeah. I think like in general there is this like the Beatles effect and the teen idol effect, where like if there's someone or some thing that women really like or teenagers really like, then it's dismissed, it's not taken as
Automatically.
seriously, like it's kind of undervalued and undermined
Yeah.
actually. But it's like it's not a one person problem, it's like a
Yeah.
bigger problem where people usually kind of just are very dismissive of
Yeah.
what young women like.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's definitely like a cultural phenomenon because I know even
Yeah.
Harry Styles has discussed this. So
Hmm.
I think he was asked in an interview and he said exactly that why are you assuming that teenage girls don't have taste? They are our future lawyers, they're our future doctors, they're going to run the world, and you are thinking that they're not serious fans. I think they're very serious fans. And I applaud him for being one of the very few people
Yeah,
who stood up for his female fans, right? But when
exactly.
it comes to people like, let's take Shahid and Ranveer's example, I understand wanting to have a transformation and wanting to maybe break away from that chocolate boy image, but
Hmm.
they've gone so far on the extreme end of it to play
Yeah,
to play not just violent characters, but extremely negative and extremely toxic characters.
misogynistic characters.
And that's just
Yeah.
the other end of the spectrum. And it's just, I'm so curious about what actually motivates that.
Yeah.
When I was doing some research on this, I started watching interviews of Animal just to try and
Hmm.
find out what prompted him to take on that role. And
Hmm.
I watched this episode of a podcast that Ranbir did with Nikhil Kamath.
Hmm.
And he says that I wanted to get rid of that image, and I needed to have Animal to step up in my career essentially. And I wanted to turn, like he basically said that he wanted to shed that man-child image, and he basically had to do something extreme in order to do that. And
Okay.
okay, you didn't
Um,
think so far in the opposite direction because
uh,
I think characters like that are damaging to society.
they are.
Yeah, it's one thing to play a negative villainous character, which Shah Rukh has done that so many times in his career, right?
Ex That's exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly. But something like an animal or something like a Kabir Singh is just, I think it glorifies violence, it glorifies hatred against women, and it's just extremely tasteless. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I find that very interesting how your favorite chocolate boys can turn out to be the most toxic boys at times.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I really feel like they should learn from maybe Shah Rukh, who like was like the chocolate boy, the romantic lead that you would, or even Amir Khan for that matter,
Yeah.
like Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar and Kayamat Se Kayamat Tak, like they were like those lover boys, chocolate boys sort of like category. And then they did movies to move away from it, but not in a like, toxic, misogynistic, violent way, but like
Animal, yeah.
there are other genres that you can explore. Like you don't have to go in the other extreme, like
Extreme,
absolutely
exactly.
other extreme. Yeah, it's insane.
And I feel Ranbir has been fairly experimental in his own career as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't understand the need for creating characters like that and then also playing characters like that. There was another interview
Yeah.
I watched where someone asked the director of Animal about Ranbir's soft boy image. And the director says, "Oh, Ranbir might have a soft boy image on screen, but he's fully alpha." What? Like, which just basically means that if you're a soft boy, you're not alpha. Like, who's making up all of these definitions and who's deciding? But
My soul just cringed.
that's how people start thinking, right? And yeah, it's just very disappointing that this is how
The-
it has to be.
And the fact that there is like a very large audience, that's why these movies are even made. They succeed, they're remade. Like,
These
mm,
movies are so successful. Like, I know that they do like 100 crore plus in profit
yeah.
after they get made.
Mm,
After that, they sort of, try to justify creating these characters. And I think that's very tasteless and very not necessary at all. But
yeah.
I feel it's also indicative of a cultural phenomenon because I was watching another interview about this, and
Mm,
Nasiruddin Shah said this that insecurity among men is rising, and that is why you
yeah.
see hyper masculinity on screen now, and that is why there's also a demand for it.
That's very, very,
Yeah.
very true.
So it's
Yeah.
probably also just like art reflecting real life because it's happening in real life. That's why we're also seeing
Yeah.
it on screen, obviously in a more graphic and more extreme way, but it is reflecting what's happening around us. So,
Definitely.
yeah. The
Sad.
good old, it's making me ache for the good old days of
I know,
Imran
right? Oh
Khan
my
and
God.
yeah, what was
Yeah.
the movie he did with Sonam Kapoor? I Hate Love Stories.
I hate loves. Oh my God.
Oh, just
My favorite dialogue is from that movie. Like,
really.
इधर उधर की बातें वगैरह वगैरह.
Yeah. Even his character is like slightly man-childish in that, but then I think Imran has an undeniable charm. In fact, I think he's
Yeah.
one of the actors who's not actively tried to divorce himself from the chocolate boy image. He still very much
Yeah.
maintains that. He maintains the look, he maintains the charm, he maintains the characteristics, and he does like interacts with
Yeah.
his female fans very well. He's maintained that throughout his career.
That's also because he like he seems like a very decent person in
I
general,
know,
like
that's what.
outside the industry as well. So yeah,
Probably
but
he's the one actor who's been categorized as a chocolate boy, and it doesn't seem like it's a role he played. He probably fits the bill even how he is as a person.
yeah,
And that's
and
why he's maintained it.
I just want to, like, let the world know that being a chocolate boy is not a bad thing. Oh my goodness. Like, stop undermining this thing. God.
When someone's a
Uh,
chocolate boy, they're desirable and they're basically everyone's crush. So we're actually complimenting you when we're calling you chocolate boy.
exactly. Like, you have the kind of maturity that most men do not.
No,
So be grateful,
exactly.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like this also kind of like, brings us to like something we discussed before. Like, is this archetype dead? Are we just not going to get any more chocolate boys, or is nostalgia is the only place that we get to feel it?
I think maybe it's morphed into the chocolate boy has morphed into the romantic lead, probably.
Yeah.
So there is this call for, romantic comedies to come back, or just romantic movies in general to come back. And with Shah Rukh sort of aging out of that, or, picking roles that are more action oriented, there is a
Yeah.
very big gap, which
Hmm.
hoping Fawad is going to fill. But I'm also hoping that Imran fills that because we need him back. We need him back so desperately.
Yes. Although I have heard that Imran is going to come back as a director and not an actor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think so.
Trust him as a director too.
Exactly.
I'll take
Exactly.
whatever we can get. So I don't mind if he's behind the camera, like that's okay. But I just need him back in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
But
comforting characters.
exactly. I maybe we're not able to kind of understand it, but maybe the teenagers, like the current teenagers, might have like their definition
Yeah,
of a chocolate boy now with like, the new actors coming in, like very young actors
yeah,
in like, that movie Archies and stuff.
yeah.
So
Maybe.
yeah,
Yeah,
and maybe there'll be like a new term for it, and chocolate boy will be like our era
yeah,
where we like had this archetype, and yeah, because I don't think like from my conversations with people in like their
yeah,
late teens and early 20s and stuff, I don't think chocolate boy is what they're searching for anyway. I think
yeah.
their idea of the guy
Yeah.
is very different.
Maybe they're more about that soft boy aesthetic.
Yeah, like so
Pretty
K-dramas and stuff. Yeah.
dramas and Timothy Chalamet and Noah Centineo.
Yeah.
Maybe they're their idols, but that they're not really Indian. So there is this gap in
It is,
Bollywood, I
yeah.
feel like, yeah. But you're
Ex
right. We might be missing some part of it because we're not in that demographic anymore. So,
exactly.
tell us about the chocolate boys in your life. Tell us if we missed out on any peak chocolate boys that we should have talked about. And yeah, we're excited to hear from you.
Yay! आज की महफिल यहीं पे समाप्त होती है. Thank you guys.
Thank you for joining us. Bye bye.